follow every week. We don't usually follow it.
And Rodney Rodriguez.
Entertain me. Tell me something. I need to know something other than what I'm seeing.
Y'all ready? All right, here we go. Here's Bobby and Rodney.
Well. Another Monday. Monday Night Football. Dallas Cowboys playing tonight. So probably nobody's going to watch the show.
Hell, you might not even participate in the show.
Yeah, we have it on here, so we'll see what happens here on the Dallas Cowboy March to the Super Bowl. This is the Revved Up Sports Show. Hashtag Real Race Talk. From Texas, that's Showtime Bobby Chaffee over there. I am Rodney Rodriguez. All of you guys checking in for the program tonight, and we are very excited. We've got a good program tonight. 7 o'clock, Cody Brusso. Have a feeling that's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Might as well get the sound bites ready for that one, apparently.
Yeah. And then 7:30, we're going to talk to Derek Scott Jr., who goes out and wins himself a points championship over at the old Cotton Bowl there in the modified. So that is awesome. I mean, I just like, and again, Cotton Bowl's been so good with their modified count has been really good. So we'll talk with him. And then coming up at 7:50 Central Time, we talk to Phil Whipple. He's been the man driving this Texas short track driver of the year. I mean, he's been the one that he's done all the legwork on that. He's been able to put this together. We stay out of that stuff, and that's a lot of people. When they ask about that, and of course we're kind of putting his thing up there just a little early, but a lot of folks. It's like I've had folks asking me throughout the day, about the short track thing of the year, and I'm like, man, I don't want any part of that. And Bobby, I think you and I, we're on the same page with that. It's like we shouldn't have a say in that. We're affiliated with too many damn people.
Mm-hmm. We know way too many people, and being in an odd position we are with announcers, we don't ever want to be perceived as having favoritism. And a lot of people accuse us of having favorites and stuff like that, which I don't know. I wouldn't say that we have the word favorite, so to speak, but I think we have guys that we know better, that we talk about more because we know their backstory.
Girls too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, can't forget about the lovely ladies that run around here.
Yeah. So, and that's, I mean, part of this thing, and it was the thing last year with the promoter of the year, and it was even bigger on the promoter of the year. I don't want any input on that. I mean, I'm employed by many of them for one thing, and you are as well. And it needs to be, I mean, it totally needs to be neutral. And the driver of the year, I mean, it really comes down to, it's going to be, it's stat based. I mean, it's going to come down to the number of starts and this, that, and the other. And I have no clue who it is. So, I mean, I've had my ideas of who it should be. I keep that to myself because I'm totally biased. I mean, I'm fans of all the drivers, and I don't give a rip if you are in the modifieds. I don't care if you race a sport compact or a mini stock or whatever you want to call it. I'm a fan of every dadgum race driver that shows up to the racetrack, and the reason for that is because they keep the sport going. I mean, yeah, obviously, a lot of the attention goes to modifieds and factory stocks and late models and trucks, pavement. But I mean, it's across the board. I mean, it's big picture.
Well, as an announcer, it's our job to support everybody. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not, we enjoy when we have.
What's wrong with your throat, man?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
What the hell you been doing, buddy?
I didn't get the frog in my throat. That I started using the cough drop, and it got worse.
Well, it might be that high quality beer you got hanging out over there.
It might be that over there too. I'm trying to wash that down.
That might be the problem over there. That stuff will tend to get you a little bit mixed up over there.
I mean, it's high power, but it's not that bad.
Well, it's still light beer.
I know. It's so crazy.
Because we have to watch our figure.
99 calories the Yangling Light is.
99. And that's so Miller Lite is 96. And they tell me that the good old Mick Ultra. I've kind of fallen in love with the old Mick Ultra because I've been out to a couple of different events. I try not to go in public very often, because I just I don't know, I'm a recluse. And I do things at home in the dark by myself. Mhm. I meant like editing, like things like this, anyway.
Remember, make the sound tag on it, so there's another promo.
Right. But
the promo guys always say we need more content to make more promos. Well, hell, there they are.
Yeah, they talk about, with the Mick Ultra, and it's like, if I'm going to go somewhere, if I'm going to be out in public and I'm going to pay $8 for a beer, I'm going to buy the Mick Ultra because I won't buy it at home because it's pricier, and it's all good. It's all good, but whatever. But hey, Milton Hope checking in. I got to tell you, I had the pleasure of working with Milton, and that was a lot of fun because it was Milton's one of those dudes where he's been at this a long time, and he's like the rest of us that he's retired. He's only retired once, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you never quit. I never understood that.
Yeah.
You never can quit. Every time you think you're going to quit, you come back in deeper than you were before.
And he's talking, absolutely. Yeah, when I stepped away from the desk, I actually did have to go do something. But it was a good night there hanging out with Milton, a good night at Cotton Bowl. And it's fixing to get real there for factory stock power rankings and all of that. They're adding the extra element there for the fan vote that I think is going to, the factory stock power rankings, that's something that's been really cool this year, and it's performance based, like we talk about with Driver of the Year, and that's where I think they're doing things here to add to that, and that's cool. I mean, you have to do that to really make it all inclusive, I think.
I think so. But before we get back to the factory stocks, let me talk about Milton Hope as the announcer for UTSA and the
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
5-0. They just got done with a big road game win over the University of Memphis.
You should have heard this dude at the Cotton Bowl the other night.
I'm telling you, but Milton is the announcer for the UTSA home games. I got to say, Milton, you're doing a damn good job getting that crowd fired up. I hope that dome is packed with the team. This is a special team that we have at UTSA. I'm a season ticket holder, so I get the honor to listen to Milton at all the home games. So, Milton, you're doing a damn good job there. Well, 4-0, that's right. We're planning to be 5-0 against UNLV.
Right. Hey, Milton, if you need a sideline guy, I know a guy right here. I mean, what better? I mean, get yourself an alumnus right here. Get him out there, put him to work, get him doing something. I mean, parking cars. I mean,
that's right.
He can do something there.
I know how to scan barcodes. I can park some people.
He can do like the air traffic control. I mean, yeah, absolutely. But I mean, great job. I mean, UTSA, what a great start. And that I got to tell you, I had the very sincere pleasure to call high school games for Sincere McCormick back in his days, back at Judson, and to see him doing well. I mean, I knew that was going to be a very special talent. Whenever he went wherever he was going to go, for him to stay at home and be leading the charge there for the Birds. I mean, I think that's really cool. That's a good feel-good story right there, and way to go, man. You guys sitting out there and making San Antonio proud. I mean, you got the Spurs, you got everything out there, but you got a really badass football team, and that's much deserved. You got a kick-ass coach. You need to keep Jeff Traylor. You got to figure out,
because that's going to be the hard part.
They're going to be knocking on that door because people are seeing around the country what he's doing, and that's going to be tough. That's going to be really tough.
But the good news is, all the interviews, he's saying all the right stuff about wanting to stay, but he wouldn't be the first coach that says all the right stuff that wants to stay. But if we get a chance to move up to a bigger conference, which is, the rumors may be here and there, but if we get a chance to move up to a bigger conference, then maybe we can keep the coach. But I'm on the train. I've been on the train since game one, day one, so I'm not hopping off anytime soon. So we'll just have a lot of fun with it and enjoy it while we got it.
That's right. That's what it's all about. Could be a very special season right there. Looking forward to following that along with you guys. So we had the Valley Star 300, the big old race over there at Martinsville. Landon Pimbleton wins that race. Young kid right there. There's a bunch of cars, man. A bunch of cars.
Crazy how many cars they got in it.
Yeah, and I mean that's great. I mean that's what you want to see. I mean that is great for short track racing, and I love it. I mean I love it.
I think that it's great because it's proven one thing. The one thing that the Cars Tour has done is open back up the late model stock world to know that it's okay to not have to run a super late model, especially in the Mid-Atlantic where the Cars Tour mainly runs there in northern North Carolina, Virginia, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They've proven that despite all the buzz that the super late model stuff gets, especially with the Southern Super Series and the Snowball Derby, that it definitely becomes through one of the races that those type of cars really end up being some of the better races.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, how about Jared Fryer? Man, he had a hell of a time in qualifying. I love how he is so transparent. He posted on there. They missed something. They went back. They fixed it. He wound up, I think, 5th. I mean, a great run for Jared. I mean, those dudes, man, they are so, I mean, the Fryer name just tells you, but they are so homegrown. They just, they just go out. They figure out ways to kick ass. And I just love how Jared, it seriously is. I mean, it is so Freddie Fryer that he's carrying on that name, carrying on the tradition with that number, everything that he's doing. He's just so good at what he does, and consistency. I mean, he's so consistent. He's always there at the end.
It's got to be the stickers.
Got to be.
Got to be the Freddie Fryer. Did he ever decide if he's going to sell those or not?
I think that they were actually selling them at one point. He actually mentioned to me that we were going to get some, but we haven't gotten them yet.
Well,
Mark Fryer.
Yeah, right.
Jared Fryer. I know. I mean, they're probably in demand. I mean, they are
probably
very much in demand. I'm sure they are.
They probably are wanting the people to buy them before they're willing to just give them away.
I would most certainly have people rather have them buy them than giving them to a couple of freeloaders like us. But
speaking of buying, we still have the Revved Up Sports Show merch. One of the
$5
first round of merch here. We have the $5 koozies that you can see with the wonderful Revved Up Sports Show logo on them. Working with a couple of vendors to try to get the next round of Revved Up Sports Show merchandise. I know you guys have been asking for shirts, hats, stuff like that. Working on it.
Yeah.
Just haven't got it finalized yet. We know that the fan base we've got a lot of good feedback after the 5-year anniversary show last week. So we get a chance to, was that last week? Or
yeah, it was.
2 weeks
it was.
ago? Yeah, last week.
Legendary show. Go to RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Along the top banner, click shop. That is SHOP. And you can do it right there. It's easy. We'll take these out. I mean, because we're into it's so funny. I do want to talk about this here in just a second, a little bit of breaking news that we'll talk about in a minute. But I think it's so cool that now we are into
oh, wow. That is breaking
I don't know
news.
if you saw that. But we are into we're into big race season now. I mean, because the point races are all wrapped up, and now you got the Lone Star 600 coming up. And like you said, man, I wish we'd have figured out a time to get Brad Dixon on. I mean, maybe we can do a Thursday show or something, do some talking. But we're into the big races. I mean, that big race at Cotton Bowl, you know, speaking of that, I mean, we'll tell you how you can be a part of the fan vote and everything happening there. But this is really when it kind of sucks because we're done with the regular season stuff. But this is when it really gets fun because this is when the big money comes out. This is when the headhunters come out, and this is when the racing gets really fun and it gets cool. I mean, it's cooler. I mean, you go to the track and it's cool. You need some long sleeves.
Well, I think the best part about it, you get to see, especially if you're a factory stock guy, those big money races run all the time throughout the year. You got the King of the Hill, which is probably the biggest one, a $10,000 to win race. They're kind of in the middle of the season. But now you get more guys that want to come to it because the bigger money races, because of the fact they are done with their weekly championship. Some of these guys don't want to travel, don't want to do different kinds of stuff. So the fact that they're able to now get a chance to go outside of the comfort zone, if you will, makes it a really good deal for some of these bigger shows. So you see, we talked to Howard Willis about running big shows.
Yeah.
We talked to Kel Westover about running big shows. So it's big money, big show season. And now is when it's going to get, when I say it's going to get fun, it's always fun, but it's a different type of fun. It's more of an over anticipation of excitement of what's going to happen with some of these big shows. When you get the best of the best that starts running these big shows, like we'll see up at Cotton Bowl coming up here shortly. You got the Clash down in Edna. You got the Fall Classic there in heart of Texas.
Yeah,
So there's going to be, your big shows are coming up in October.
Kennedale, they got a big. I think it's
That's
Kennedale
right.
has a big old October Halloween thing. I think it is. So, and we'll work to get those promoters on. I mean, we want to promote that stuff, and that's super great. Speaking of Kel Westover, I mean, he comes on this show. He comes on this show, and how about that? I mean, that dude goes out and rips off 2 big-ass wins again. And, I mean, that dude is so good. He's just so damn good.
He makes it look easy.
Yeah, he does.
That's the best compliment you can give somebody is to make it look easy because it's really not. The way he's been dominating some of these big money races, I mean, that's a lot of cash. It's about $35K here in about the last 10 days. So that's 10 to 14 days, whatever the case may be. That's a lot of cash that he's been able to put back in that small race operation he's got.
Man, there's been a couple of weeks where I feel like I spin that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that's scary. That is not good. Hey, this power ranking fan vote. So here's what you do, and this is coming up on the Race On site here very, very soon. BBF, That's Big Boy Fat, bbfmerch.com, fan vote. You go to that site, bbfmerch.com, and that power bonus right now is adding up. They're up to about $3,000 right now as it stands. You got the top 50 in the power rankings. They're going to be a part of this. The top 10 in the fan vote are going to be a part of this as well. So that's where it's going to be so important for you guys, you folks, that if you have a driver that you like, that you support, if they're not in the top 50, get them into the top 10 of the fan vote. And that's where the highest finishing of the 60 eligible drivers, it's going to be like $1,200 minimum for them to get in that race and win. And that's going to be a real cool system. I'm not sure I can follow along with exactly how it works, but I think that's massive. And what a great event and good place to do it. At Cotton Bowl. Finish it off at the big track.
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. If you can't get in through the performance, every good show has some type of fan vote. You see it at the NASCAR All-Star race. You see it at a lot of the other All-Star games that you see get played, kind of playing into some type of fan vote. So it's it'll be fun to have the factory stock fan vote to kind of see where it's going to be. I think that there's different ways to make it happen, but I'm still waiting to see and interested to see the final power rankings coming up for that all-in design factory power stock race, power stock rankings rather. So that'll be good to see in terms of that when we finally get that. Everybody ask us about it. We're just helping to promote it. It's not anything to do with us.
Yeah, I don't know what those numbers are. I don't know the formula. I saw it. It's based on all these different variables with top tens and starts and so forth. But I don't know. And I would not want to be the one trying to figure out how to do it. Because I'm horrible with that kind of stuff. So I don't. I'm sure that's going to come out. I would suggest at some point before we get to that big race there at Oktoberfest, put that stuff out there. But I do know from what I was figuring out this weekend, it's going to be a really good idea to be there for both nights. Because it's a 2-night show there at the CBS. It's going to be Friday and Saturday. And there's a lot going on that weekend. That's Texas OU weekend. You got high school football and all of that. But here's your big chance. Here's your last big soiree at getting a big event down here. I know we got stuff happening in November, I think, at 37. Of course, we have the Clash and all that. Speaking of that, we've mentioned Texana twice. Owen Pittman, my man, we are thinking about you, brother. I know there's a lot that's going on there. You had to postpone that show, but the show, it matters not. And I will say, I thought it was very nice, especially with the stuff that we talk about with social media and everything. With that race being postponed and the reason that it was and everything that was put out there, that folks were very sympathetic. Finally, jeez.
Nobody really complained,
goodness.
did they? I didn't see a lot of people. Everybody, you know what everybody said? Well, if Texana's not racing, let's go to Cotton Bowl.
Right.
And you saw a lot of Texana cars there at Cotton Bowl.
They did. They really did. The folks showed up. It was a great count. The stands were packed at Cotton Bowl. And I think a big part of that, too, was, it's cooler. It was a cooler day. I say cooler, 91. But, the night cooled off. It was a great night. And I do want to I see Marianne checking in right there. And I do want to say, for all the folks, I said this on the pre-race show, for all the folks that were bitching and moaning about the week before with the hammer down, that they nail this place. And every driver I talked to, whether it was on the air or afterwards, they liked that track. It was a great job. And I was talking to Marcus Harkrow, I think it was. Marcus. I don't know who it was. But one of them said every now and then they're going to miss the track prep. That's part of the deal.
It happens.
Part of the deal.
It just happens. You're not going to nail it every time. You're dealing with Mother Nature. A lot of times you can't win with Mother Nature at all. So that's... I think that's just part of the way that the racetrack is. You have to know when the surface is bad to know when the surface is good.
Yeah, and the thing is, we saw that people were beating up CBS, but I've seen it at 37. It's always that. And that's where the tricky part is. We say it with pavement racing. You go out and you clean up the track, you wipe it down, you broom it off, whatever the case is. It's a different element, but the whole thing is they responded, and I think that there may have been a little chip on the shoulder there with the folks at CBS to make sure that racetrack was going to be good, and they nailed it. It was awesome.
It looked good on TV. It looked good on Race on Texas for a little bit of a chance I got to watch of it. and got to see it before my TV decided to eat itself. But yeah, it looked like the track was very racy. All the reports on social media that
great.
I saw,
I mean,
everybody
it's great.
said it was great. Nobody seemed to remember about last week when they were talking about it. So
yeah, the whole thing was for that race the other night, I got to be the analyst. So I got to talk about, how the track was going to work itself in and, all of this stuff. And it definitely did. And now our good friend Gina Schall Knowles checks in. And I love that right there. Sometimes a racer just needs to race. Just go race.
That's right.
Quit bitching about stuff. I mean, show up. I mean, it's a perfect thing. I mean, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said that there's never a perfect scenario. There is never a perfect. There's never a perfect person, and we all just work at it. Gina and Marianne. Yeah, thank the Lord. Yeah, yes, Gina. Yes, very much so. It is nice. We have a nice luxury on the pavement side. We
on the pavement
side. Yeah. So, but yeah,
it is it is nice.
I still think it's badass that those two ladies are the ones that are keeping racing alive.
They really are
in various places around the state.
They really are,
and other states.
Cotton Bowl would be dead in the water more than likely without H and Marianne right now.
It'd be a cotton field right now without them. It would be a cotton field, and they're doing a really good job. So folks need to go out, support that Oktoberfest, jump on that, bbfmerch.com, vote. Be interactive. I mean, get your people in there. I mean, vote your drivers in. That's going to be a great show coming up with Oktoberfest. Gina has a great show coming up at Mobile as well. So support these people that support all the the habits and everything that we like. Beer drinking and racing, they go hand in hand. So it's a good thing, and let's just be positive, man. I got to tell you, and I can really attribute to this because I'm going to go a little off the record right here. I have had my ass reamed today by a real estate client that just pretty much tore me up right from the ass right up to my forehead, and I'm like, let's be a little more positive. Isn't that okay? I mean, really, what's a big deal?
Well, it's just the way today's society is. Everybody looks at the negative first. Nobody looks at the positive first.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Everybody wonders what's the next fresh hell they're going to see on the television or read about on social media and stuff like that. Nobody really pays attention to the positive. The next, I don't know. I never did catch up with the thing about that girl that got missing and then they found her remains somewhere and now the boyfriend can't be found and there's a manhunt for him. I don't know. I never paid attention to any of that because, well, it's hard to watch the news nowadays.
Sad, local and nationally. It's like, just be cool. Just be cool. I love Twitter, but I got to tell you, man, going and checking that out, it's like depressing. But yeah, Cheyenne, great call. I'm glad she mentioned that. How about Josh Berry? For all of us that have cut our teeth, that we sit here and we race. We can all kind of live through Josh Berry. This dude is making all of us. And the good thing about Josh Berry, and I don't think that he ever will, is that he resonates to the local racer. He's one of us. And he's next year he's getting a great opportunity. And man, it is just so freaking awesome to see one of our guys, and he's older. In terms of
31,
31,
older. He is older comparatively to a lot of the racers that are, breaking in or found their breaking point there, trying to get in.
Yeah, and good for him. Great call, Cheyenne. Thank you so much for that. But I think next year this dude might rock some people's world on the Xfinity Series.
Well, he's got a chance. The equipment there's good. Mm-hmm. Something's going to drop there because there's got to be. They've said that they're going to run him full time. They've also said they're going to run Sam Mayer full time. They announced that Noah Gragson's coming back. They announced that Allgaier's coming back.
Yeah.
So the only one they haven't announced yet is Michael Annett. And Michael Annett drives that one car, but he's got that solid sponsorship from Pilot Flying J. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be interesting to see if Josh Berry gets that ride or if there's going to be another ride involved somewhere.
Yeah, we'll see how that all shakes out. But good weekend. Also got to give a Pensacola. I love the fact that I didn't get to see the racing actually happening right there at Pensacola, but I love the fact that I checked in and I saw that at Pensacola there were 24 outlaws. 24 outlaws. Yeah, that's a lot of dadgum race cars on one freaking track at one time.
It sounds like it could end up in a lot of carnage too, though.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Speaking of that, let's go to the Revved Up Sports Show hotline. We happen to have somebody that I think may have been a part of that fantastic show happening at Pensacola in 2 classes, and we're very excited to have this individual on the hotline. Let's welcome in Cody Brusso. Cody, what's going down?
Hey guys, how's it going?
We're doing extremely well. So let's talk about that weekend. I mean, for you had the high and then you had the lows, man. That looked like good and then a little shitty at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. We actually weren't even planning on running the shit show of an outlaw race, and we actually convinced my dad 2 hours before the gates opened that we were going to take his car. Kurt and I did. So we loaded that bad boy up on a open equipment trailer, grabbed a can of fuel out of the shop, and hit her with a water hose and went to the racetrack.
I love it. That's awesome.
So how did it end up for you, Cody?
Sorry?
How did it end up for you? We know how those last minute racing trips never usually end up really good. What happened?
Well, it actually went pretty good. We were doing very well. For what the car was. We've been having trouble with that car this year. I've tried to race it 2 other times. We had a miss. We found the miss, went to the racetrack. We were actually pretty quick. We qualified 8th out of 24. I think I went a 5 to Connor O'Krezik's 2, which was on a pole, which that's fine for us. I mean, we haven't got to race at 5 Flags all year. Mm-hmm. So I was completely happy with that. And come race time, we're riding around. I get up to 5th. There was carnage in front of me most of the race, cautions, people chasing each other around the racetrack, people fighting on the front straightaway. Then we had a really long red flag. Came back to restart. Kid in front of me doesn't go. Guy behind me tags me. I don't know if he tagged me or not. All I know is I came off the nose of the 51 at Mock Jesus towards the wall. We smacked the inside wall, and that ended our night in the 7 car.
Jeez. So what is it, Cody?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Cody, I mean, the whole thing is, I mean, I watch these races all around the country, and I see them, I see some firsthand myself, and it's like the lack of respect. I'm like, guys, ladies, come on, man. It's Yes, I know this costs a lot of money, but at the same time, this costs a lot of money, for crying out loud. Shit, let's drive ourselves a little smarter here.
Well, you're exactly right, and it's becoming. The class was started or was basically written up a few years ago by my dad and presented to Timmy and Ricky and all that. They finally took the bait on the rules. It was made because around here in Pensacola, there's probably, or at the time, there was 15 to 20 pro late model or late model, super late model cars that people that worked from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, couldn't afford to go race the pro series or the super series or whatever. So we were like, hey, we'll do this class. You can build your own bodies. You don't have to buy all this fiberglass bullshit from 5 Star and pay somebody to hang your body. You can make your own shit. Take the old stuff, go race it, and we have a class, and we turn out 24 cars, and that's what happened the original year here. It's the rules spread to Mobile, to Cordele, to Montgomery, and it really took off. It was great. Then you have what happens to everything. You have the bigger money stuff come into play. Mm-hmm. You have people that have no respect for other people's equipment. You have people with 28 cars at their shop that they don't care. They'll wreck their shit, and Daddy will roll out another one. Right they don't care.
Right.
They don't care about you. They don't care about what they got going on because there's no consequences. So, the thing with the outlaw class, it's a great class. It's getting out of hand. The rules are getting out of hand. They're going to have to do something to get a hold of it, in our opinion, just from what we've seen. What we do on a budget in, the Kurt Britt trucks or the Kurt Britt Outlaw or the Donnie Brusso Outlaw, what we do and what we have accomplished on the budget, in a budget, like you would shit if you knew the budget of what we're accomplishing. Yeah. Like our budget is like our real budget. Like
right.
we do a lot on very little, where now it's becoming to where these people have endless amounts of cash and they're running super late model races, and then you're going to come jump back into outlaw. Like, no.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, that's kind of goofy. So if I want to compete against Connor O'Kresick and Bubba Pollard and Steven Nassy, hell yeah, I want to outrun them. Like, I'm with the shit, but I want to do it in the same type of equipment. You know, the Wheelman Series down south, for example, Bubba went down there and raced, but he was in the same shit. He wasn't in an $80,000 Rowdy car to my 1998 Hampke, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what it's turned into. A lot of those guys that we race with, they work Monday through Friday, and they work their ass off to buy one set of tires. Then you have people, you know, it's supposed to be a tire shortage. You have people testing all week. And I know for a fact, because I live 2 miles from the racetrack. So tell me I can't hear it, okay?
Right.
So you have people testing all week long and still can't lay a lap down and still cause bullshit on the racetrack. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, stupid.
Just my opinion. But the majority of the guys we race with, they're great. I'll give room. They give room. Everybody's happy.
Right.
Like John Heil, for instance. Me and him went round and round last year. Okay, we kind of got into each other at the Derby. He raced me as clean as he could in that truck and as clean as I could, and it was great. We put on a show. He passed me with 3 to go. I passed him back. We never touched. Raced side by side for an entire lap.
Mm-hmm.
But with the outlaw stuff, it's becoming where they don't care. They'll tear your shit up because there's just unlimited amounts of funds to be, you know, they just don't care. They just run through it.
Yeah, that ain't right.
Yeah, it's not. But it is what it is. That's the name of the game. And we still show up to every race with what we have, and we still perform, and we are still competitive, and we're a threat every time we pull up to the racetrack. So I really can't complain.
That's right.
It's just shitty that, you know, we're moving up, and I get jumped on a restart. That's stupid to me.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Especially if you're supposed to have that much experience behind the wheel, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, well. But the truck race went great. And I can't thank Kurt. I can't thank him enough for letting me drive that truck. I can't thank my dad enough for letting us kind of yeehaw his outlaw for that Friday race. Because he went to lunch, and I looked at Kurt, and he looked at me, and we were like, load it. Okay, let's go. We robbed that right out of the shop. But he was a good sport about it. And, you know, we know what we need to work on, and we're going to go to Cordeal, and we're going to finish off the season strong and get ready for the snowball.
Right on.
But like I said, the truck thing, I mean, it went great. I didn't know I was doing that till Friday morning, so that was kind of cool. Didn't really get to practice. Almost bought the truck coming out of 4 in qualifying because I wasn't expecting it to hook that hard, but that thing is a freaking monster of a truck. I think we were talking about it, and I think everybody that has raced that truck has won a feature in it.
Yeah.
Up to this point. My girlfriend won in it in Montgomery. I've won in it. Cody Haskins, Josh Hicks, Grant Thompson, Jake Bowman, I think his name is, from California, came and raced it at Cordeal. He did great, and the only person that has yet to win in it is his own owner, Kurt Britt. So we are waiting for him to man up, to man up and quit being a little punk and get behind the wheel to see what he created.
Get his ass in that truck. Come on, what the hell? I mean, man, Kurt.
I'm trying. He's a little punk bitch. I don't know.
Come on, my man.
I know. I love him to death. I'm trying to get him in it. So, you know, our whole team is one in it except old Kurt. So we've been working on it pretty hard, trying to get him ready, get him pumped up to get a win in it also.
Love it.
So Cody, let's talk about you and how you progressed. Obviously, we know that you've been running the Outlaw and you're having some good success with the truck now. But let's talk about how everything got started for you. I know your dad was racing before, so how did this whole thing shape up for you? How did you get involved in this as deep as you are right now?
Oh God, bad luck, I guess.
Hell yeah, that's about right, man.
Yeah. So, no, I raced go-karts when I was little. I started when I was 3 till about the time I was probably 10. We raced go-karts full-time. I kind of didn't really shy away from it. I mean, Dad was still racing and all, so I went and I rode horses and played ball. I played ball through college. got out of college, got back here. Dad was like, all right, we're going late model racing. I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Like, this sounds like a great idea. Like, I've never raced a big car, but we actually went to Monroe, Louisiana, which was Revolution Park. They put dirt on it a few years ago now, but it was a concrete track at the time.
Yep.
And we went up there, and the first year we won the NASCAR state championship in that, in a pro late model. We came home. I took about a year off, and went to work and had to do adult things. And then the outlaw class, took off.
Yeah,
I know, it sucks. The outlaw class took off, and that's kind of what we've been dabbling in. I won the championship in that. Then Britt came along. My dad had double knee surgery, like 2 total knee replacements. So he was going to take a year off. I didn't have anything to drive. Kurt actually shot me a message he needed me to test for Josh because Josh was in school. So I tested for him, ended up in a truck full season for him, did really well in that. The end of that year, we jumped back in Dad's car, and then we ended up with the 38 Outlaw car and did that last year, won a bunch of races with him and that team. Watching that organization grow has been awesome on my side, so I'm glad I get to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, Kurt checks in. He's racing October 16th at Cordeal, he says. How about that?
Yeah, okay. We'll see. We'll see. Hey, I'll let you know when the 16th comes around. I'm spotting. That's all I know. If he's not clear by 5, he's a fired ass.
So I was following there on Facebook. So were you like banned from him or something? I would see it as like Cody Brusso was banned or something.
No.
What the hell was that all about?
Oh God. Okay, so back to the outlaw class and kids with no respect for anybody. All right, so this is the deal, and Kurt's I'm probably gonna go on super secret restriction again, but
nice.
It'll be fine.
Nice.
Yep. So basically, I got to the point in my life where, like, look, NASCAR was never a goal for me. We don't have enough money to run pro late models just because I work, my dad works, my mom works. Everybody works, okay? Like, It's just reality. You just got to accept, the cards that you've been dealt, and you got to deal with it. So what we're doing is what we're doing, and I got tired of people running over my shit. Well, so, seriously, like, it sucks, but, a lot of girls or women in racing, they just take so much shit off of everybody, and I just don't. Like, I don't care what people don't. Like, if you don't like me, that's cool. You don't pay my bills. Like, I paid my mortgage today. I'm good. Like, I'm good for another month. Like, I don't give a shit. So, basically what happened was at the beginning of the year, we had some stuff kind of not really fall through, but I didn't really get to run a full schedule this year. We'll just put it that way.
Right.
And we had somebody else that was going to race the 38 car, and that was great. And it happened. Well, then another car came along, and it was, in the nicest way to put it, the kid that was getting to race the other car, not the 38, the other car was being paid for by a rich guy with endless funds.
Nice.
And then you have a kid with no consequences. Okay?
Yep.
So we were at Cordeal. I got to race my 38 car. I was super pumped. I was like, this is going to be dope. We're going straight to the front. Like, we're about to wrap this shit up. Like, this is us. Like, we got this. So my dumb ass goes out there and spins out in qualifying.
Oh,
so
man.
I blamed it on Kurt immediately. Like, it wasn't my fault. It was immediately Kurt's fault, right? So, we had to start the tail end. I think. I know. There was 20 cars there. So, 20 cars, whatever. It's like 50 lap race at Cordeal. So I drive from P last to P3.
Sweet.
Clean. Don't touch anybody. Didn't touch anybody. Rolling them on the top side, rolling them on the bottom side. We go up through there, not a mark on my car. We're great. So we have a red flag. I don't know, somebody got yeeted, whatever. And I guess kid shorted out. I don't really know. But at this point, going into this race, he had already ran over one of our team cars. Now remember, this kid is racing out of the same pit box as I'm racing out of, as these two other cars are racing out of.
Yeah.
So one of our cars had already been wrecked by this kid. Okay. So this race comes around. Hunter Johnson was behind me in another car. that was in our pit that weekend, and he gets freaking annihilated on the front straightaway by this kid. Door slam. Like, if Hunter wouldn't have been as good as he is, he would have crashed on the front straightaway.
Yeah.
The kid doors him going into one, and I don't know if you're familiar about Cordeal, but you never dive bomb anybody going into Cordeal.
That's
just
right.
because the car won't stay down there. So, you know, unless you really have a good run or whatever.
Yeah.
So he gets Hunter going into one down the front straightaway. Then he thinks he's going to get me. He runs down into 3, and I mean, door slams the shit out of me, like completely, like bout wipes me out. And I'm like shorting out at this point because I haven't gotten to race all year. And I'm like, all right, I'm tired of this shit. Like, he done got Hunter. Now he done got me. Like, okay, I'm done. So, you know, and there were some other things adding up to this.
Yeah.
But the checkered came out. I couldn't catch him. I ended up running 5th because I got door slammed and lost like 2 spots. After the checkered, I caught his ass on the back straightaway, and the car just, it wouldn't stop. And it took a hard right.
Hell yeah.
So I got put on super secret Kurt Britt restriction for 1 race. So then Brooke got to race my car. But I'm off restriction now, so that's all that matters. I'm just tired of taking people's shit. Like, I will not. You can ask anybody that I race with, don't fuck with Cody. She ain't going to take your stuff. Like, I'm not going to take it off anybody. Like,
it's the way it should be. I don't care. I mean, the way it should be. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, the respect thing is the problem. I mean, we see it. I don't give a shit if it's you know, in the bomber class or whatever. Nobody respects anybody anymore.
No, not at all. And like I said, the group, there's a few guys that I can race with side by side, and it is great. I can race with Bubba Winslow. I can race with Corbett Mosley. I can race apparently with John Heil now, which is really cool because he's actually kind of fun to race with. John Heil, I can race with JJ Day. I can race with Stuart Dutton really well. And these are all fast guys that are up front. So I'm used to racing with these guys that do have respect, that are up front, that have been up front, that are used to being up front. And then, like this past weekend, you know, like if you end up back there with the clowns, you're going to see a circus, and that's what we saw. That's
totally right. That's totally right. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, and they call it a support class. It's a great class to start out in. There's a few of these kids that we're going to see come in and out of here that are going to end up because they have the checkbook to go to ARCA or Xfinity or whatever, but it's the same scenario in every class. If you go truck racing, if you go in the Outlaw or the Pro Late Models or the Supers, you'll see, and everybody has seen it, and it's always the same deal, and it doesn't matter. It's always money, money, money. It doesn't matter. I got another car. I got 6 more. I got this. I got that. But, you know, it really falls back to the racetracks not getting a handle on the rules or what they have going on. Because, I mean, let's be honest here. Like, the cars that have been winning, they're not $80,000 race cars. These are people that work from daylight to dark, and then they go home and they work on their race car, or they feed their family or whatever, and then they make enough, you know, not like we're all broke as hell, but I'm just saying, like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, if I have $80,000 extra dollars, I'm not buying an $80,000 race car. You bet your ass I'm about to go get a $70,000 boat. Like, you know, I'm not spending it on a race car. Like, what? So that's just kind of the thing, and it does suck, but that's everywhere, and that's what's so cool about all the things that y'all have going on with Mobile is because that Pro Late Model deal that y'all have going over there, that's good. That class right there is perfect for what that racetrack needs and what people can't, you know, the people that can't afford to go and to run these big 100-lap races. They're not learning anything at these 100-lap races, getting their ass handed to them by the campy car. Like, come on, what?
Right, yeah.
They're going a lap down, 10 laps into it. You're not learning anything. So it's perfect. And I think that even not taking a knock at the people from Texas that come to Mobile, but I think that they've learned that the caliber of car that used to be an outlaw car is no longer. That when they bring their stuff over here, oh god, the dog's mad.
Oh, we got him. We got him here too. Don't worry.
Yeah, when they bring their stuff over here, they're like, oh my god, we got to go home and work on our stuff. Like this is a little outrageous. And it is like the 38 car. That thing is fast. I probably could have sat on the pole last year at the Derby, but I ended up going second because I kind of got a little nervous. You know, I'm not about to wreck it in qualifying, but you know, that car is really fast. We've won races with it. People have said it's fast. Dad's car is super fast, but we don't have $80,000 tied into those race cars.
For sure. Yeah.
And it's supposed to be a local support class, and that's not local stuff. So you have, like, going back to the Wheelman stuff, we have a Wheelman car.
Yeah.
And it's got, like, these Bobo-ass shocks on it that look like they came off a freaking, like, I don't know, like a John Deere, like, buggy thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
And they have stock, you know, it's all stock stuff for the most part. And then you have some of these outlaw cars that have shocks on them that are worse than one of my cars that are sitting in my dad's shop right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what? You have $10,000 worth of shocks on your outlaw car to win $700? Mm-hmm. Like, what?
Yeah.
So
that's
just what it's turned into, and it's fine. But, I mean, you know, it's all about what you want to do and how far you want to do it. And, I mean, we're still doing it, so I can't complain too much. But, I mean, what's going to happen is it's going to kill itself. Mm-hmm. And since Ricky Brooks took over that Wheelman stuff down south, I think that, this is just my personal opinion, I think that you're going to see those cars move up here. You're going to see a lot of people that are on my kind of budget move down, and you're going to see a lot more 602 cars here. And I think that eventually that they're going to pick up at Mobile, and then Cordille's going to pick them up, and that's going to be the new outlaw class. Because it's the stuff that they're doing right now with the rule package and how it's getting out of hand and the people running over everybody, it's going to phase itself out. Yeah. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, hope so.
I mean, you hope so? You hope the outlaw cars get phased out?
No. I hope that this thing will kind of shake itself out to where this does get back to, like we're talking about with the Mobile thing. I mean, like the Pro Late models. I mean, it's a great concept.
Yes, it is. And, I mean, the tire that they're on works out great. You know, it's not going to draw in people that need to get wins on their little resume because their kid can't drive without traction control or whatever. You know, like what? So it works out. And, you know, I'm not even lying about that. So you might
I know.
I know.
I know.
You can tell when they turn it on and they turn it off. So, you know, that's just the biggest thing, really, is just the cost. It's gotten really out of hand. The test days, like, I guarantee you right now that if I had a week worth of testing at Five Flags, where I could test from 10 o'clock in the morning to about they go to about 4:30 in the afternoon, and I had unlimited money and unlimited tires, nobody would be able to touch me.
Right.
And then, you know, or any of our CBM people for sure. I mean, I have a kid right now sitting in Georgia working on a freaking legend car that I could take some of these kids that they're riding around in these $100,000 supers. I can take him right now. He can probably get in it in jeans and some tennis shoes and lay a way better lap down than any of them can.
It's crazy.
And it's just that's just what racing has turned into. It sucks, but it is what it is. So you either want to do it or you don't.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
So Cody, do you have
that's why we like to go to Mobile.
Do you have a preference on what you like? Despite all the clusterness in the outlaw class, do you prefer the outlaw over the truck, or does it just vary by the day, or do you like them both? Do you have a preference, one or the other?
You know, it really just depends. I enjoy the truck. I think the truck puts it back in the driver's hands, just because of the way the chassis works, and they're just fun. Like, it's just hammered down all the time. It's fun to race because the bumpers line up. So if you do want to push on somebody, you can. Whereas if you get behind somebody in outlaw, you're picking their back tires up off the ground.
Yeah.
And it usually ends really bad, obviously, that we've seen that. But I you know, I like, the faster I'm going, the more fun I'm having. I like the trucks. I really like the outlaws. I've been fortunate enough to ride in some really, really nice shit. So I really, you know, I can't really choose between two of them because I've been very, very fortunate. Like, I mean, I raced Kurt's trucks before I got to ride this 38 truck, and it was great. My dad's two cars they're great. They hook, they're fast. I've never really had to ride in anything that was like super sketch. I had a super sketch race car that I rode in at op, but we got it where it wasn't as sketchy, and it was fast. It ended up fast, but it's hard to choose. It just depends on what kind of racing you want to do, and I like both. I mean, I just like good hard racing, side by side, next to each other. We're not trying to kill each other. Nobody's getting concrete in their teeth. Like, that's what I like, and I don't know, it just depends.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. So I have to ask you before we cut you loose. So one of the things that I've been talking about on this show for the last few weeks, I mean, with this quote tire shortage thing that you addressed, I'm like, man, how's this going to affect? I mean, we see shows getting canceled, and they can't run all these big races, whatever. Is that going to be an effect for the snowball, or is this mysteriously going to go away?
I think that it will be. I think it will be a problem for some people. I think that other people are going to have tire availability that they show up with.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people are going to get test days that nobody knows about. I think people are going to get sets of tires out the back door that nobody knows about. And it sucks. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. I mean, I just know they're hollering tire shortage, and we've got people out here testing every day. You can hear, like, I can throw a baseball and hit the racetrack from my room right now. Like, for the local classes, I think that they're going to limit us to a set of tires. You get your race tires, and that's it. Now, like I said, it'll be who you are as to what you get.
Yeah.
The super stuff, they need to limit them to however many sets you get for the big race. Like, you just get your race tires. That's what they need to do, because, I mean, really, the Derby doesn't have to be a 4-day show. It's a 4-day show because they make dollars on tires.
That's right. You get the bell again.
I'm serious.
Man,
so
you get the bell the whole damn. I'm gonna mail you the bell.
I know.
Shit.
You should mail me the bell. Exactly.
I think I might.
So,
I think I just might.
The pros and the supers, they practice so much throughout that week. The local cars, we get 15 minutes, and they're like, good luck. And if somebody crashes and there's oil all over the racetrack, they're like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, see you at race time.
Yeah, good job. Yeehaw. But they, a normal team, I don't really know. For a pro car, I bet you people go through 10 sets of tires easy.
It's crazy. That's way too much.
Like, for a normal, like not like super low budget. I know that for us last year to run Josh on the budget that we had, I think we went 6 sets.
Wow.
And that was Thursday, Friday, and then our race tires on Saturday.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's like, we're like out here in like a old GART car.
Mm-hmm.
But we were strolling. Like, my boy was strolling. Like, Jimmy Garmin had that thing hooked up. Kurt had it all polished nice. And
cutting the wind.
Josh, yeah, there you go. And then Josh had it hooked up. I mean, he was I think he was first in practice on both days, and then we ended up qualifying 5th. So you really can't complain. That's what I'm saying. What we do on the budget that we do it on is ridiculous compared to everybody else's budget. Like, we had that budget. Okay, let's play. Yep. We're all riding around in some GART cars, like some old ones. Yep. You know what I mean? So this year, and that's another thing going into outlaw stuff, this year you're going to see, I guarantee you're going to see some Furies and some Senecers. I know a few outlaws already have Senecer front and rear updates on them, like clips, center pull, this, that, and other. I think that I know that there's already a Rowdy car riding around. And you're going to see some shit. Like, even though there's a tire shortage, you're going to see some stuff in that outlaw class. So you're going to see some stuff. But what it is, that truck thing, that's you can't get far-fetched in that. It kind of is what it is. Like, they have that shock rule. They have this, and you can only get so much nice shit to put on a truck. Mm-hmm. Kind of like the Wheelman stuff. Like, it's capped off.
That's right.
This outlaw stuff is wild, for sure.
Yeah. Way too much. Hey, can you, call every week? I mean, you're like the you're like the freaking best damn guest we've ever had on this show. And it's like all these people posting. It's like she's talking shit the way it really should be. I mean that's
Yeah, like I'm down with it. Sign me up. I'll call in. I've got all the gas. I got all the tea on all these people. Whatever you need to know, I will tell it like it is because nobody else does. Nobody else will just tell it like it is. I don't give a shit what people think about me. Like, come to my house. Like, you ain't gonna do shit. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
I don't care what people think. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Racing is what it is. There needs to be changes in the local classes. Yes. Do you want to race? Yes. So you still got to freaking deal with it. You just got to end up not back there with the clowns so you don't get turned onto the front straightaway wall.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. I told you.
It only hurt for a minute.
Yeah, told you. Hashtag real race talk. That's what we do around here. And this whole clip right here is going to be, this is badass. Number one fan, number 1 and 2 fan right here. You are the shit. You are the shit. That's all I got to say.
I stay low key, but my people stay true to me and I stay true to my people and we just tell it like it is. So that's why a lot of people don't like us, but I really don't care.
It's all good. It's all good. Great conversation. Let's do it again soon. We got we got somebody else. So it's like, man, let's just keep going. But yeah, we got to go. So love it. Absolutely love it. Let's stay in touch. Love to talk to you soon.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right. You bet. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. How you follow that?
It's going to be no pressure on Derek Scott Jr. at all. No pressure at all there, buddy.
But, she's just saying the shit that everybody else, they think it.
She's saying the stuff that everybody else is afraid to say.
Afraid to say. I mean, she's just calling it like it is. I mean, and that really is the thing. I mean, with the Outlaws, I mean, you do watch them. And like she said there, I mean, with the pros and the supers and all that. And it's funny with the tire thing. I mean, because living that close to the track over there, tire shortage. How bad is it?
Well, maybe people had, sets of tires laying around. It could be. I mean, nobody in racing ever gets special treatment, do they? I mean, it never happens. No. It's
Cody Brusso, this is coming to you, girl. Right here. You get the bell.
That's good.
Man, my finger hurts from hitting that thing as much as she was.
She talked to you about banging the bell, too.
Oh, I know. I mean, she called me out on that thing. But, I mean, seriously, I mean, that's... a lot of people think that, and but there again, that's a family thing. There, I mean, it's her and her dad, and I mean, they've done this for so long, and I like what she's talking about there. They don't have the budget to do this stuff, but they are very good. They are very competitive when they go up there, and like when she talked about in that race, I was doing a football game on Friday night, and I was trying to follow along on Race Monitor, and I saw it was red flag for the longest time, and I went back and watched it, and I'm like, man, we were red flagged that long. For that? I mean,
there's some carnage, man.
Yeah, they're tearing shit up. I mean, they're just tearing shit up.
There's a hell of a lot of carnage for a race that shouldn't have been torn up as much as it was. I mean, they were tearing up a lot of shit.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, I mean, how about that? I mean, because you get a lot of people that bitch about John Heil, don't want to race with John Heil, and she's like, how about that? That she and he have had a problem before. They've hammered that out, the mutual respect that they have for each other, and she likes racing with the dude. And I mean, I do think that this year is with the Derby that's going to be interesting. That's going to be very interesting in that outlaw race.
It's very similar. The outlaw stuff is turning into like the factory stock stuff down here. You've got the purpose-built factory stock cars, brand new, turnkey for $25,000-$30,000.
Yeah, it's the same shit. Yeah,
and now you've got those guys with a brand new going down. It's designed. I like the Wheelman stuff. I think the Wheelman stuff is the right way to go with those types of cars, keeping the stock components in it. Versus having all the high dollar, somebody bringing a purpose-built Fury car, an outlaw Fury car. I mean, that car in theory should smoke the rest of their ass. Now, in theory, it depends on the driver that's in it, obviously, and a majority of the people that are going to have those brand new Fury cars, just like she said, are they're going to be the ones with the endless checkbooks. Those don't always equal results.
Yeah, and that really is the plight there that she's talking about for the local racer. I mean, you mentioned the factory stocks there too, and we've watched this thing spiral out. I mean, I go to tracks and I watch the different tracks where I see guys come out with you can tell, and that's the thing. I was talking to Tommy Gurrell after the races the other night, and again, that's a street stock, but that is a very home-built car. Mm-hmm. That's a home-built car, and one of the things that I was talking to Steve and these guys about. I mean, his motor doesn't get to turn loose because that's a leaf spring car. I mean, he is very, home built. I mean, they're using this old 13, 14, 15-year-old car. And the motor doesn't get to do what it should do because he's doing it that way. And that's what Cody and her dad, I mean, that's what they're doing there. And I think that really benefits her when she jumps into one of Kurt's trucks, because you jump into one of those, and she talked about it, because that's one of those where when you're used to something else, you jump into that, and that's a driver class. And all the truck guys and ladies have told us that where you get into one of those, you got to drive your ass off because you don't have that instant power at the foot. You have to race the shit out of the racetrack and the truck.
Yeah, that's what everybody says about the truck. That's what makes the trucks one of the more entertaining shows, especially on a big track like Mobile and even in Pensacola with those big old half miles. I mean, I love the truck races in Houston. They're always very entertaining and they turn out really well. The problem is that you're not on that big super half mile like you are in Pensacola and Mobile. And that's when you get to see the brass bearings, if you will, bang down on the racetrack when you go down into turn number 1 down there in Mobile and go down into turn number 1 down there in Pensacola. There's a reason you see that spark underneath the trucks, because usually a big set of balls sitting there kind of dangling and scratching up the pavement down there. So that's what you got to love about the trucks, because the trucks, they're race cars because they're designed to race, right? That's what they are. That's what they're supposed to be. But they're still a beast of its own. I mean, when you have you take something with a cage, a metric chassis. Well, I mean, I guess they started out as metric chassis, but still the same kind of concept with the top heaviness of the roofs that they have. It's everybody with doctors says they're a bitch to drive, but they're also fun as hell to drive. So
yeah. Waiting on Derek Scott Jr. set to call us the brand new champion over at Cotton Bowl Speedway in the Magnum Custom Trailer Modifieds. And I will preface this, but he told me he had class all day, so he may be held up. So can't fault the guy.
He Aggie, right? He's still an Aggie?
Yeah. I saw that he's getting pretty close to being done with all that. But, so we'll wait on him. If not, coming up a little bit later on, we will have the man himself, Phil Whipple, with the short track driver of the year. And again, back to that thing right there. And that's another great example right there, because a lot like we've been tracking these, or Race On has, excuse me, been tracking, the factory stock points and everything right there. That gets really tough in that class, because what you were saying, I mean, it's guys that want to get out there and they want this to be economical fun, but man, it's so hard. But this is nothing new. I mean, we've seen this for so long. I mean, that was the end of the Superstock class at Kyle. It outgrew itself. It became the TSRS, and now you see the Superstock at Houston, and it's like, I mean, to me, that's not a Superstock. I mean, that's a limited late model, and it's not an outlaw, but it's a limited late model. That's what that needs to be. But it evolved into that, and that's exactly what Cody is talking about.
Yeah, well, the original premise of the Outlaw was to have the older cars,
right,
be competitive, right? Because they were just sitting there.
Don't build a purpose-built car for that class.
Because now, if you're running a Fury car, and no disrespect to the people that are buying the Fury cars and buying the brand new Rowdy cars or the Hampke cars or whatever you want to call them now, no disrespect to those dudes and ladies that are buying those, but all that turns into is a pro late model light class.
Right.
Meaning that it's a pro late model with a different body on it.
Right. That's not the premise of the class. It was to be an alternative to a pro late model or to whatever the case was going to be. And I love the concept of those. I mean, I love the Wheelman is the one that needs to be the driving force with this. And with Ricky Brooks coming aboard, I mean, I can only say, we talked to the main man there from the Wheelman series before, and he talked about, how stringent they are with the rules and everything that they're doing right there, and tires and everything. I think with Ricky coming aboard, I mean, that's only going to help that to where that reinforces that. And I think that the fact that they are so hung into keeping it at what it is with him coming in, it's going to stay that way, because I mean, Lord knows, we all know that Ricky goes by the book, and if they're going to keep that set of rules, that's what's going to happen with that. But the key's going to be to keep it at that, because you look and I mean, pros are out of control. I mean, supers are out of control. And I will say, I'm glad that Cody pointed out with what Gulf Coast is doing at Mobile, trying to make it a weekly series. I mean, put them on, a more affordable tire, The rules are what they are, but let them come out, let them have fun. The guys that can't go to the Snowflake, the guys that can't go to all these big races, let them come out, let them race 30 laps, 40 laps, whatever the hell it is. Let them go out there, let them win a trophy, let them win some money, let it be affordable again.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that the idea of, it's kind of like jumping with the sharks. It seems like with the pro late models, you've got nothing but 100 lappers all over the country. And people that are designed, like, you don't get enough seat time. Like she said, when you're trying a new kid in the class or a new driver in the class, we keep saying kids because the majority of the newer participants are younger. But when you add into the fact that they get lapped within 10 or 15 laps and they're causing problems and causing issues, you're just jumping into the deep end, and that's not good for anybody. That's not good for the development of the driver. That's not good for the development of a series. That's not good for the development of a class if you've got somebody that's in there driving over their head.
Yeah.
Not that you want to see people drive over their head at the local level like at Mobile, but there's a difference between running a 25 and a 50-lap pro late model race at Mobile than running a 100-lap race there at Pensacola.
Yeah,
in the Alan Turner series,
right? And it's like I've always said, like with the compacts and with the eco stocks and all, the entry level now that we have. It's like, who in the hell wants to go race in that class where you want to bring folks in to that? Who wants to go race in that class when you go sit in the stands and you see a guy that's been racing for 20 years get out there and lap the field? Mm-hmm. I mean, when you go out there, you're going to spend we say $2,000. It's more than that. I mean,
it's more than that.
Hell, between now with the safety apparel and everything that you have to buy to run that, I mean, getting a roll cage installed. I mean, that stuff is. I mean, you can't just do that in the driveway like my dad used to do. I mean, I guess you can, but you probably shouldn't. But to get in there and do that, it's going to cost you a lot more than what it should. And when you want to get into the entry level class, and there's some guy out there zinging around you, that's run a bunch of different stuff. I mean, that's not fun. That's not how you attract folks in. But like you're talking about with talking about kids coming into the Outlaws, it's an opportunity for guys that maybe they never hit that upper echelon. They couldn't run the Alan Turner Pro late models. I mean, they couldn't do all that. It's an opportunity for them to take that old chassis, get back out on the racetrack, keep that thing from sitting back there, being yard art. I mean, get out there and race it. But with the escalating costs that we're watching, it ruins all of that as well.
I mean, it's killer expensive to run an Outlaw. It's a great concept for a class, but now it's hard for these 10-year-old chassis to go against these brand new, purposely built, super late model chassis.
Yeah,
it's just hard. It just doesn't make any sense. But and you can't blame a promoter or a track for allowing new cars to be built for a class.
For sure,
you never want to get down on a promoter for that, because more cars equals more money. More money equals the track staying open. And we're not trying to call these promoters money hungry, greedy. Go back and listen to any of the archives when we talk to any of these promoters, whether it be here in Texas, the Woodman Series in Florida. None of them are doing it to get rich.
Right.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
None of them are doing it for the ass chewing they get week in and week out. They're doing it because they're trying to keep racing alive in their respective areas. So, you can't downgrade a promoter for trying to have new cars being built. The Derby is the biggest race of the year for the Outlaws, and so people are going to build. Racers in some aspects are stupid. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Racers can be stupid because they'll spend $50,000 on a car to win $5,000 for a race.
Yeah.
And people have been doing it that way for years, and nobody wakes up and says, we need to do something different.
Yeah.
Everybody does the same thing. We spend the same. You spend an exorbitantly large amount of money to win a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and Cody checks in. Have helmet, will travel. That's good. Sponsors, that's what it's all about. But here's the thing, and I love the thing that she talked about, because we've seen it here firsthand. She went to the shocks, and boom, here it is. And I mean, we all know this, but again, it's like the elephant in the room that people don't want to talk about. I mean, we know it's there because I think some of the, and I know that the grassroots racer, they don't want to. I mean, you don't want to get beat. You don't want to make excuses for getting beat, but when you're racing with that kind of money, I mean, seriously, because I felt that when we raced. I mean, we raced a very good AFCO racing shock. I mean, and for us, it was a big deal to spend, $800 in shocks for for 4. But when you're trying to race with people that are spending $800
on one
for one, yes, and getting them revalved and doing all this shit, I mean, it's hard. And she hit that right there. And that really is because it used to be. I remember back in the day, it was always, the big motor, do all this shit to the motor. But those days are gone because you level that part out. The motor rules are in place. Run a crate, do whatever you're going to do. And this is like with the factory stocks. I mean, the motor rules, and that's where I got confused, and I should have known better because looking at the factory stock rules, my first question was, how the hell do they run so fast? I mean, they don't even use headers. But the more that I got, and I should have known, I mean, the more they, purpose built, you can spend money on the shocks and all this, that, and the other, and that's where it is. And the bad thing is, like Cody was talking about, it hurts the budget racer. And the budget racer really is the to use her word, it's the fucking origin of what we do.
Well, it always has been. I mean, from the time we got guys that raced out of the service stations there, and when the moonshiners started working on their stuff in service stations to the 70s, when that's where the stuff came for your weekly shade tree mechanic out there.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, and that's the sad part where it's the good people. It's the good people that get left out of this thing, and that really sucks. And I hate that. I hate that for a budget racer.
Yeah, well, it happens. I mean, it's just the way that it always does. And usually the people that take away the shock money is somebody that can't afford to run the $1,000 shocks in the class above them, and they decide to drop down. Like, oh, hey, we can't afford a $1,000 shock, but we can afford an $800 shock. That's a really good bargain there.
Yeah,
we see it a lot, and then that's when the cost gets out of the hand of the lower series. So
yeah,
it's almost like it's. I don't know. Reverse economics is not the word I'm looking for, not the phrase I'm looking for, but it's kind of that same concept where somebody that, instead of running the budget that you can, racers have always been prone to run up a class budget above what they can afford. It's always been that way. If you could afford to run a street stock, then you'd want to run a super stock.
Sure.
It's always been that way. The problem is that the guys that try to compete with the super stocks, they bring their super stock shit back down into a street stock, and they say, oh, well, the super stocks can get this shock, but it doesn't cost as much to run this class, so let's run the super stock shocks in the street stock. Yeah,
and it's the trickle-down effect, and I totally get it. I mean, because I remember, and I do want to mention, because I saw this week that, and for Austin racers, I saw that we lost John Tolley. I don't know if a lot of folks remember him, but he raced at Speedorama at Longhorn for a long time. He was in the top class. John Tolley, number 17. He made the decision, I think it was probably 1985 or 6, he was going to step it down because he was getting outpriced. I mean, he ran out of the garage, and it was tough. He dropped to street stock, and he put the street stock rules in his car and drove his ass off and was a damn good street stock racer. And we lost him apparently last week. I know they had a thing at the warehouse, which was his old stomping ground out there. Mm-hmm. John Tolley, another one of those guys that just so many stories that we could talk about. But I mean, that's the way you should do it. And I don't know. It's that same shit. I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, this is nothing new, but anyway.
You hate to see it in a class that's as strong as the Outlaws.
With a lot of potential, and that car count, you see that car count trickling up, and it's because of what we're talking about. But anyway, Derek Scott Jr., I think he's probably still over there at A&M. What happened to them this week?
They got Arkansas.
Just like Texas. We're going to the hotline.
Granted, Arkansas ain't got a chance against Georgia, but...
Well, we would think, but we'll see. Let's go to the hotline. I mean, we got one of our dudes right here. Phil, how are you? Because you get the luck. How are you going to follow Miss Cody Brousseau?
Gentlemen, good evening to you. And I got to be honest, I'm completely stunned after that interview. I don't know what to say. It's impossible. It's totally impossible for a Yankee hootnik like myself, 2,000 miles away, to ever come close to what came out of Cody Brousseau's mouth tonight. Talk about a talented grassroots, hey, we do the best we can with the money we have. Here's the way it is. Tell it like it is individual. What a wonderful interview to start off you folks had tonight.
But, Phil, I mean, you see everything that's happening. I mean, you see it up north, and you see it, I mean, probably a lot with the people that you talk to down here. She ain't lying. I mean, it's really the problem that we've seen for year after year after year, to where things just evolve and people get priced out, and that really sucks.
It does, but she's accurate, and it sums it up. And Bobby hit it right on the head right after you got done with her. He said, hey, she's just coming out and saying, what so many other rest of us have been thinking, and a lot of people don't really want to come out and say publicly. We kind of all know it anyway. Those of us inside the fences for a great length of time, we've discussed this stuff, and it's been happening. You guys know, you've been around it long enough, almost as long as I have. It's been happening since the dawn of time. Racers bitch for better shocks, better brakes, better rear ends. Eventually, what starts out as an entry-level outlaw class, an entry-level street stock class, ends up way up the ladder with almost a freaking SLM or a PLM. And so you're right. It's that evolution. And with the cost of today's stuff at the speed shop, man, 2 or 3 revisions to a set of rules, and the price goes up by the thousands, right? And so and every time you jack up the price of race in a given division by a few grand, you eliminate a certain group of people, right? Grassroots people who it no longer becomes affordable or practical for them. And so, yeah, I won't go on about it, but she just came out and said, unfortunately, what it is, it's a kind of a money game now. And when you start an entry-level class somewhere to build up a track or create a farm system and a driver development deal, you got to adhere to those rules. And no matter how much Papa says or Grandpa says or Uncle Jim says, who happens to have a thick wallet, said, the boy, he could drive a little faster car. Why don't you let us have such and such in a rule package? You can't do that. You cannot give in to anybody with a fat wallet and let rules evolve, or you'll just keep watching it swirl around and round and go down the shitter like a finless brown, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yep, so that happens. So, guys, we're going to finally get an opportunity, and I got to thank you, Rodney and Bobby, and of course, Chris David. I hope he is having an opportunity to listen tonight. Got to start right off by thanking you, gentlemen, for allowing me this chance to track these numbers this year. I've covered close to 50 shows down there this year off the live stream at all kinds of tracks, and I've kept track of a lot of guys, touring series guys and weekly guys all over the state now, because Chris is expanding so much up into North Texas. You notice he brought on 4 new tracks, by the way, Rodney, in Speed Pass just recently brought on Cannondale, started doing stuff from oh my God, we're doing Sabine now. We're doing Big O, and I think there's a 4th new one. The guy's growing and expanding the territory, and that enables me, of course, to watch and record and write recaps of far more races at far more tracks, and I'm exposed to more racers and more drivers. And so I've just been blessed to be able to see all that and to keep track of the numbers of these guys. And man, some of these guys I'm about to spit out the names on this year in both our touring series category, and our weekly category. Some of these boys are to be stood up and applauded, because they've had tremendous seasons. You guys know about the cost, the travel, the lodging, these touring guys that spend to run all these schedules and stuff, the USMTS and the ARM series, all that. They cost bucks. These guys have made quite a sacrifice, I think, in 2021, both on the weekly level and the touring series deal. And I think it's super that the Revved Up Sports Show and Race on Texas will step up and recognize these people this year, inaugural season, and each year moving forward, like we do with Promoter. And again, before we start spitting out numbers and drivers, thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to do this. You know the effort these guys put into their programs. So, Bobby, I'll ask you, don't you think this was overdue? Don't you think this is time to start recognizing these guys, my friend?
I think so. I think it's any time that you can recognize the dedication and passion that somebody puts into the race program. And it doesn't matter whether or not it's a super late model or down to an entry-level bomber car or an eco stock that they roll out of the garage that they only get a chance to put in 5 hours a week on. Anytime you can recognize somebody for the stuff they're doing, that's fine. That's great. But, it'll be good to hear, but there's always going to be somebody else that's going to say, hey, it should have been me. It should have been me.
Yeah.
So be ready, Phil.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Well, I know, Bobby, and I know, and I know you're just being honest and candid. And you guys addressed a good point earlier about the neutrality. I like to think that I'm a decent neutral person to do this, because I, unlike you guys, have no direct ties to these individual drivers, no matter what track they are or who they drive for or any of this stuff. I'm a kind of an outside observer as a journalist, right? So, and my job as a journalist is to keep track of numbers and stats. That's part of my gig. And so I'd like to think, people, and to your listeners, that I'm the right neutral person to do this, because as much as I've developed wonderful friendships with these people I'm interviewing for features and a lot of these promoters and stuff, I still have no direct ties with them. They're just wonderful people that now acquaintances, and some of them have become dear friends of mine, but I have no direct ties with them. And so at this point in this game here, what we're doing tonight, they are individuals who have put up numbers. Nothing impersonal, not being impersonal and human. To me, at this point, they're names and numbers, and that's how this was determined with the additional criteria of their media skills and friendly. How are they in an interview, on camera or on a phone on an interview or something? And so you'll hear me mention on a scale of 1 to 5 somebody's media skills ranking as well as we rattle these off. Now, we'll start with weekly tonight, guys, and if it's okay, Rodney, we'll start in with weekly. There was no second through fifth place in this stuff. I will list other guys who were also considered, and then I'll tell you the winner in that category.
Yeah, have at it, man.
Acceptable to you, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful.
Do your thing, buddy.
All right. Thank you, buddy. We talked about a lot of guys. Man, there was a lot of guys that put up good numbers, and yeah, Bobby, there's going to be others too. But these guys rose above the rest, in my opinion. Ryan Hopkins in the weekly was one of them for consideration. Ryan had a heck of a year with 21 starts, 8 wins, 18 top 5s, and 21 top 10s. He is recognized as having a fabulous season. Also under consideration this year for weekly was Mr. Jared Maupin. Maupin hopped into Polero's equipment this year and wheeled with the snot out of it every time he got in it. Jared had 23 starts, 10 wins, pretty near a dozen wins, 23 top 5s, and 23 top 10s. Maupin is just a threat to win every time he climbs in a car with a 96 on the side of it. He's phenomenal. Also under consideration this year in weekly was that incredible athlete racer from Taylor, Texas, Mr. Chris Morris. That kid in the 94 modified, he continues to stun me every year. Chris put up 6 wins in 40 starts and 22 top 5s and 29 top 10s. The 94 modified had another outstanding year. And speaking of another Chris, we're working up further onto the list. We're going to need a drum roll here pretty soon, guys. Now, the Chris here is Mr. Chris Davis from North Texas. That old Chris Davis in that 98 factory stock pumped out 35 races, 7 wins, 26 top 5s, and 30 times out of those 35 races, he was in a top 10. So Chris Davis on the list of outstanding seasons in the weekly competition as well. We move up to not number 2, but also a strong consideration before we get to our winner, the legendary Walter Hamilton out of Dallas. Walter just, is a kind of a man I've learned this year. Walter's a man of few words. He doesn't really have a lot to say. Walter lets his driving do the talking. And man, can he drive. Walter ran 43 times this year and had 14 wins, 31 top 5s, and 34 top 10s in that 1W out of Dallas. What an outstanding year. Just, I think he was last year's USRA national champion and very high ranked in USRA national points this year as well. Just another outstanding year. But then we get to our winner here in weekly, our inaugural driver, Texas Short Track Driver of the Year in the weekly category, an 18-year-old athlete from Farmersville, Texas. The young man kind of really got after it this year. I think his dad gave him the summer off from the SD Erectors company that he works at normally. He said, boy, you're going to race your butt off. I'm going to give you one summer for you. You're going to start working full-time here. Go see what you can do. So Matthew Day goes out and runs 47 races, wins 14 of them, and had 34 top 5s and 39 top 10s. So, ladies and gentlemen, for those numbers, it is crazy, dude. I'd never, up here, we only race 18, 20 times a year in the North Country here. So for a man to even be able to race that many times and to have that kind of percentage in Victor Lane or on the podium or top 5s and top 10s, that's just remarkable. And particularly for an 18-year-old athlete with not a whole lot of years in them sport mods. And sport mod, for example, one of the most competitive classes. He raced up to Ardmore a lot, all around North Texas, and that's a tough class. And so, people, this isn't like my buddy or any of this stuff. This is a young man who simply went out and kicked ass in sport mod all over southern Oklahoma and north and central Texas this year. And again, congratulations to 18-year-old Matthew Day of Farmersville, Texas. He is your inaugural Texas Short Track Weekly Series Driver of the Year. You ready to roll through a couple names for Touring Series, Mr. Rodriguez?
Right quick, Phil. Let's talk about that with the weekly thing. Touring is one thing, but man, to weekly, man, that is so hard because around here, Bobby can talk about this. We used to race here in Texas. We raced every freaking week. And
every Saturday night.
Yeah, every Friday.
Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Yeah, and a lot of guys raced both nights, Friday and Saturday. To freaking race every week, dude, that is some damn dedication to put up those stats. That is a badass right there.
That is a badass. That's committing yourself with very little. You think about the sacrifice. We talk about it up here at the weekly level. In my years of experience, the sacrifice it takes to kind of be a weekly short track racer and to run, let's say, 14, 16, 18, even 20 races a year. A job, a family, other hobbies, responsibilities, and go run a short track program. And so, now you're looking at these numbers every single Friday and Saturday night, and then some Sundays doing stuff. You're giving up most of the rest of your life. Let's be honest. You're making a commitment and a sacrifice. Family time, other quality time. When your other friends want to party, you want to go down the river, want to float the river. No, you're going to say no to all those other things because you're living and breathing and walking, exuding this racing. It's consuming you. And so that's kind of why I think it's neat to recognize these guys that put up wicked numbers like this with the wins and top fives and amount of races for the pure sacrifices they're making in life, much less the awesome performance on the racetrack. So I just think it's neat. It's good that you mentioned that, Rodney, because it is a heck of a sacrifice to run that many races. You boys, I didn't realize. I thought you guys always have raced every other week down there, but you did used to do it weekly?
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been
okay.
Since 2000, probably 2005 is when it switched, probably.
Okay, do you think was that economics driven? Do you think, or that people begin to say, "Look, we got to have time to do other things"? Well, I was always wondering when I got turned on to that world down there in 2019, why it was at the other weekly thing. But I mean, it makes sense because you guys, the season is so long; it's like 9 to 10 months long down there. So every other week still gives you plenty of points races. Am I right?
Yeah, it was so weird, back in the day with the every week thing because it would start pretty damn early, and it drug out. It quit at high school football. I mean, it would stop right there.
Oh.
There was no Oktoberfest. There was none of that, but it was every damn week. And I mean, you had guys, Phil, there were guys that would run Austin or Corpus on a Friday and be in San Antonio for a Saturday. I mean, you know the logistics. I mean, this is not a small state. Yeah. Isn't that fucking crazy? Man, that's a lot of travel. That's a lot of travel. Yeah. And then they would go to Odessa, I mean, and Altus, Oklahoma. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I don't know how those guys do it. We used to have guys up here in the North Country back in the day that ran that old Northern NASCAR and late model sportsman circus. They laid Stubb Fadden and all those guys. And them old bastards, there's always stories about, they raced Wednesday night down to Seekonk, Thursday night at Thunder Road, and Friday night over at Plattsburgh, New York, and Saturday night at Airborne. And I'm like, 4, 5, 6, how the hell? And they worked 40, 50 hours a week at the jobs, dude. I'm like, how did these people do this? Today, if I go, like I went to White Mountain, or I did 3 days in a row at the 250, dude, I was wiped out. I couldn't breathe. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how some of those guys do this. It's really arduous. It's very much a grind, to sum it up, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Phil, so hit us up with this touring series stuff. Obviously, we got some bigger competition when you get into the touring series versus the weekly stuff. Not that the weekly stuff's not important, but that's where you get into the big money teams and stuff like that. Hit us up with this the traveling traveling portion of tonight's main event.
It is, my friend. You're right. The weekly is, I think, equally important because those guys are stellar what they put in. But we had some wonderful guys in touring series. Texas natives put in some phenomenal seasons as well. Up for consideration this year at a Texarkana was Mr. John Mitchell, the Catman, I think. Zach calls him. The Catman had a hell of a year in that number 5 late model of his. He ran 22 times, had 5 wins, 12 top 5s, and 13 top 10s. The Catman's always fast. Another guy out of Maypearl, Texas, Mr. Tristan Dykes, was under consideration as well. Tristan didn't run quite as many races this year as some of the bigger guns, but he won some, and he had pretty near 10 top 10s. Tristan's always there, and he's leading the arms points deal, I think. And so Mr. Consistency, always up for consideration. Another guy that I think you guys have talked to may be his brother recently, Mr. Dean Abbey out of Boyd, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Had a stellar year on the Touring Series program. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Dean a little bit tonight because Dean raced 27 times up on this point, had 10 wins, feature wins, 19 top 5s, and 23, putting 2 dozen 19 top 5s, 23 top 10s, excuse me. So Dean had a wonderful season, and a guy that you both know well. In fact, I think every longtime race person in the state of Texas knows this next fella who is up for consideration, Mr. Chase Allen out of Midlothian, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Chase had
very good
31 starts and a half a dozen wins and 16 top 5s and 19 top 10s this year. Chase started right off with, he's driven a bunch of different equipment this year, but mostly in that number 130 late model, and man, he's been badass fast in that thing. And so Chase has really had an outstanding 2021 season. But your inaugural Texas short track driver of the year on Touring Series. Yes, okay, do you have that?
Roll the desk here. Hold on. Let me give you a sounder right here. Hold on. Here we go. Stand by. Boom. There we go.
Oh, look at that. And there it is. We've reached the top of the list in Touring Series. It's the Happy Texan out of Happy, Texas, Mr. Rodney Sanders.
Yeah.
Will be your driver of the year in Touring Series. That man, good thing I just checked his numbers again. They've gone from 68 up to 71 races, 11 wins, 40. That's 40 top 5s and 51 top 10s out of 71 starts. If that's not laying it to him on a year, man, that guy runs constantly. He must run at least 3 nights a week and been running back since about mid-February. But Rodney Sadness, the Happy Texan, is your touring driver of the year. And I just think these guys in both categories really, it was deserved to recognize them all because, man, they had some hellacious years.
I mean, they did. I mean, those stats are like stupid crazy. I mean, I can't believe some of that stuff. And Phil, congratulations to both of those guys. But let's talk about, because I know a lot of folks were reaching out to me. I mean, there are so many great drivers, but the thing about it with the numbers that were being crunched together, I mean, it was all about the number. I mean, you're talking about these starts. I mean, all of these starts that these guys have. I mean, there are so many great. I know I mentioned to you, I mean, a couple of guys. I mean, I know from the pavement side, and again, Texas is very dirt heavy. You know, we talked about Memphis, Villarreal. I mean, the numbers are great, but you know, with the starts and everything, Jake Wright, you know, he wins every time he races, but it comes down to I mean, like a football team. I mean, it's so many starts, so many games, whatever you want to call it. These guys, they do it all the damn time, and I mean, those are impressive numbers.
They are. They're numbers crunches. You know, if we had a versatility award, if we wanted to recognize a man's versatility, you just nailed it with Memphis, because that man has been right there, both pavement and dirt. There's guys who excel in lots of categories. There really are, and I think you could have an award for every category. Versatility. For sure. You know, the various categories, but really it's the guys that attack the season. I was looking at for this stuff, like Bobby said, well, this is kind of just a numbers thing. Yes, you're right, Bobby. It's a numbers thing. Guys who attack the season.
That's what it's all about.
Yes. How many features they can qualify for. These starts, that's A mains. You know, that's just A mains. So that's right. A lot of guys say, well, shit, if you were got my running races, all the B mains I ran almost that. No, we're looking at features, dude. Feature wins. So no, these guys attack the season to see how good they could do. I think Matthew's way up near the top in IMCA national points again, and hell, these other big names, they're well up in either USRA or IMCA too. And so that's in that sanctioning body stuff, you have to really push. You have to commit yourself to shitloads of races to do well, even in regional points. Those guys will tell you to do anything in regional points or national, you got to race a boatload of times. And it's remarkable. I thought it was time starting this year that we begin to recognize some of those guys that attack the year, especially with today's economics. Hell, there's probably half the guys in the state that haven't raced as many times. Well, we had some of these guys with 14 wins. There's a lot of guys I've interviewed this year. That's about as many times as they've raced. 14, 15, 16 times. They say nothing about 40 or 50 or 71 Alexander's done. There's a lot. These numbers are wicked. So these guys just got aggressive and went after it this year. Oh, and they had tremendous success by the same token. So again, I won't go long tonight like I've done so much in the past, guys, but thanks for the opportunity to recognize. No, I'll admit it. I'm an old ratchet jaw, they call me. So I'll cut the thing short, but I appreciate the opportunity to track some stats and to recognize these people. And I will tell you, like you're touching on, Rodney, in no way, shape, or form am I slighting all the other dozens and dozens of incredible hundreds of racers throughout that state. You know, I've become, like I said earlier, friends with a bunch of them now. I wrote almost 40 driver features this year and covered about 45 race events. And so I'm making friends with a lot of cool people, a lot of great racers down there, and I have wonderful respect for each and every one of them. They're versatile, they're kind, they're welcoming to publicity and interviews, and that's what I do. I love giving them that recognition in those features. And so I'm making a lot of good friends, and by no means do I want to lose any of them or offend any of them with what I've done with this Driver of the Year thing. I just wanted to kind of be clear. I'm a neutral guy 2,000 miles away, and this is really I won't call it hocus pocus, but there's no bizarre, hidden formula here. No secret formula and how this was derived. And so you boys touched on it at the start. Whipple's going to spit out some numbers here, and that's what I did. This is math-based numbers. And so we spit out the numbers, no favoritism, no based on who you were going up against on what week and what you were wearing for clothes or anything. There's no weird formula. And so unlike some other power rankings, which I still have great respect for, and I know there's a huge value in, but I also hope there was a big value in this Driver of the Year thing too, because there should be.
Oh, I mean, there should be. I mean, I know that you were, and the whole thing is, Phil, I mean, I want to be very transparent with people. I mean, you made the announcements. I mean, you were crunching all this, but by all means, it wasn't you. I mean, you went and you reached out to people, just like Promoter of the Year. I mean, you reached out to people that are in the know, that see this stuff, and you would compare this stuff pound for pound. I mean, how does this look? I mean, I love how you you operate with this, because it's not something that you embrace the opportunity to do it, but you reach out and you get that input. And I think that's so awesome, the way that you work all these things.
Thank you, buddy. I've never done stuff like this. I got to be honest here. When I proposed the Promoter of the Year thing last year, it was something I felt strongly that we ought to be doing. But and then you called me on it, and I had to figure it out. So I figured it out.
Never give me an idea, my man. I love ideas. I love ideas. I just don't like to have to work them through. I love ideas.
You're like my buddy Ken Squire, who was always an idea man, and then he told Curly, the late Tom Curly, to work out the details. You're just like Ken Squire. You're an idea. You love good ideas, but they say, okay, now you take care of this, Whipple. That's a great idea, Whipple. You're going to handle it, right?
Yeah.
So I did, but no, thank you for the compliment, because I don't take this stuff lightly, dude. When you guys agreed to do this with both Promoter and Driver of the Year, I'm like, whoa, Whipple, you better slap yourself in the face and get this right. You got a huge state full of people down there going to shish kebab you or hang up your success, your gonads like wind chimes, Whipple, if you don't get this right. And so I take it very seriously, both working with my 4 killer individuals that will remain anonymous on the Promoter of the Year selection committee. They are awesome guys who hash out a great person. They're going to do it again this year like they did last year for me. I take that quite seriously as I do this driver stuff. So again, guys, just thanks for the opportunity to do it, because I am neutral and very careful and try to be accurate with it. And nobody hate me out there in Texas Racing Listening Land. Please don't hate with me, because there's going to be new candidates next year. I'm going to hopefully cover just as many races next year and do just as many driver interviews, and I'm even be more hooked on that great, wonderful Texas racing scene. And so I just be looking forward to 2022 and hopefully have the opportunity to do this kind of thing again.
No, absolutely. Well, I can guarantee you, Matthew Day and Rodney Sanders are like, we love this guy. This is our guy. Hey, Phil.
I hope they do.
So Phil, right quick before we cut you loose, I know you said keep it short, but so up north, what do we have coming up? Big shows as we wind this thing down. We're into the big show part of the year. What's going on up your way?
Dude, we got one of the granddaddies of them all this coming weekend over in my home state of Vermont. One of the biggest deals is that Oxford 250 I covered. Well,
yes,
also
sir.
Over in the Green Mountain State is this Sunday is the 59th running of the Vermont Milk Bowl at the Great Thunder Road Speed Bowl. And so the American Canadian Tour boys and all them killer late models over there are getting ready to roll off with the Vermont Milk Bowl. And that's 3 50-lap segments with inverted deals. So that's just a thing Ken Squire created back in 1962, dude. That's a hell of a deal. And, of course, Pass North is just about wound up. They've got a couple more races left. They're going to run with the mods on Friday night of Milk Bowl weekend at T Road, and then we'll wrap it all up in mid-October at the famed Oxford Plains Speedway. It really is wrapping up quick up here, buddy. Thanks for asking about the North Country. We were 44 here in central Maine this morning. By late week, we'll be 36 to 38 degrees probably. They've told us Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday. Up north, there'll be the first frost, and we may not make it out of the 50s on Thursday. And so fall is very much here in northern New England, my friend.
Oh, man, they're all worried here because it's going to be like 65 in the morning. So I love to hear that. That's good.
There's
stuff.
a cold front that came through because the high was only 88 instead of 98.
Yeah. Oh, man, crazy stuff.
So that was pleasant. You guys enjoyed that little cool-off, probably.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Phil, you are the man, dude.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for helping taking this thing nationwide, dude, and for your dedication to Texas. Always in your debt, buddy. Always appreciative.
Well, you're very, very welcome. Thank you both again for your time and your listeners. I appreciate the opportunity. Look forward to speaking with you again soon.
You bet, buddy. We'll talk soon.
All righty. Good night.
All right, take care. There he is, Phil Whipple. And those are 2 great candidates right there because you look at those resumes. I mean, to run all those races, I mean, that's a lot of freaking races. And think about that. I mean, let's talk about that. So before we get out of here, think about if we did local driver of the year way back when, back in all those years of racing every week. It'll be like Don Kradimski, David Umscheid, Beaver Stelzig, Gary Chappell, Slick Yeomans. I mean, Tommy Grimes. I saw Tommy Grimes the other day. I had a real cool moment. I was walking.
The trucks weren't running. Was he just up there to?
No, he was up there with Dylan Kowalik. He's a part of that. He's a part of that bunch. So I'm walking out of the. I go out of the press box. I'm walking down there to go home, and I hear somebody calling my name. I'm like, "Hey, Rodney." I'm like, "Who is this?" And I see this dude walking up. It's Tommy Grimes. I'm like, That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they recognize you.
Yeah,
huh?
he's like, I see that fat guy right there walking by. So that was cool. Talked to Tommy for a while there. And again, Tommy and I were talking.
One of the legends. He's been on the show.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Tommy and I were talking about, he was telling me about all the times he sold all his shit and just can't get away. And, man, that's what we do, man.
Comes back again.
Yeah, yep.
Now, he's not in as deep as he once was with all that super late model stuff, but
Well, yeah.
he's back in deep enough with that truck.
Yeah, he said he had gotten rid of everything and went to the racetrack. So how's this sound? So he goes to the racetrack with his wife. They're just watching at 37. Just check. Dude, I told him. First mistake. First mistake.
Going back.
Yep. But how cool is his wife that she said, I think you should be out there because you want to be.
That's good. That's good support. That's a great support system.
That's a good lady. In the words of Cody Brusso, that's some good shit.
It really is.
We're going to blow up the internet with Cody Brusso's interview. That was really good. Really good. I like that. I like that a lot. So, anyway, great program. No, we're still good. Yeah. So, hey, man, what'd you think about this one?
Definitely unique. One of a kind, just like Cody Brusso.
Yeah. I love that lady right there. Really good
We
stuff.
need to give her a good nickname if she doesn't already have one. Like other than shit talker or whatever the case may be. We need to give her a good solid nickname.
We need to have her on like I said, we need to have her on the show every week. We need to have the Cody Brusso commentary of the week. Remember like when Dave Despain and our good man Robin Miller, we should have the Cody Brusso commentary of the week.
That'd be fun.
That would be good. Short track commentary of the week. Yes.
She could record it on her phone and send it to us.
We need to do that before somebody else does.
I don't know if anybody else is going to give her a microphone.
No,
after
they
tonight.
won't. They won't. And that's why I told her, I'm like, #RealWestTalk. You say whatever you want to say.
That's true.
Fun stuff.
We don't censor it. It is
That's
what
right.
it is.
That's right. It's live. Mics are hot. Thanks, Cody Brusso. Thanks to all of you for checking in. And if you didn't check in, shame on you because you missed a good one.
Missed a good one.
It's going to be podcast here very soon at RevvedUpSportsShow.com. Bobby, rest of the week, man. What's going on?
I'm going to watch it rain.
You going to ACL?
Hell no.
My wife is.
I'm going to another UTSA football game this weekend against UNLV, and then I'm going bull riding on Sunday to the PBR there at the AT&T Center in San Antonio. So I'll be watching a different kind of bullshit on Sunday afternoon than it will be the cluster that it will be Talladega. That will be so entertaining.
Yes. Going to be fun. Everybody have a great weekend. Thanks for checking in. We are back next Monday. It is #Real Race Talk from Texas. Thank you, Phil Whipple. Congratulations, Matthew Day and Rodney Sanders, Texas Short Track Drivers of the Week. For Bobby and Rodney, we gone.